Welcome to Odd Talk, a podcast from Open Door Baptist Church recorded in Prattville, Alabama. Hosted by Danny, the associate pastor at Open Door, Odd Talk is a program which discusses the Bible from its creator to creation and everything in between. Many episodes are interviews with people who attend Open Door Baptist Church on various topics, but all episodes will edify and equip you to live your faith actively within your community. Let's tune in to see what the discussion is about today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Odd Talk. So I thank you for those of you that have been following along week in and week out. We're at I want to say this is episode 6 right now. And my guest today is a retired pastor. He's the founder of a ministry called Barefoot Bible Ministry. You can find it on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. He's an author. This guy is like a jack of all trades. He's like got his hand in, it seems like, a lot of different things. And so I've known him as Pastor David Wright. I know by the books it goes by C. David Wright. But welcome to Odd Talk. I'm glad to have you. Just right off the bat real quick, C. David Wright, is that really is that an author thing? Is that something that is like book-wise or what is the C for? Is David your middle name, I'm assuming?
No, it's the first name that we only used for my dad.
Okay.
And he was Carl at home growing up.
Oh, okay.
So I was always David, but just to set myself out from every other David that writes books out there. And there's other Wrights that are Christian authors.
Yep.
So I thought, well, and I looked at how the authors put their names, and often to make it sound more distinguished, they'll put their first initial or something.
That it does.
But so that's all. Yeah. And nobody calls me Carl in my family.
Okay,
Yeah.
But is Carl your name, or is that just your dad's name?
That's my first name.
That is your.
So I do
actual
have his first name. He wanted Carl Walter, and I would have been a junior.
Okay.
And I don't know how she pulled it off, but Mom put her foot down and said no.
Well, it's like my son. My son's name is Gage Taylor. I wanted to call him Toby Otis. I don't know if he probably would not have liked that, but if his name was Toby Otis, his initials would be TOW, and I could call him Big Toe. So, okay, well, I didn't even know
probably would
that.
have stepped on your toes.
He probably would have, but I didn't know that about that. Carl David Wright, C. David Wright. That explains a little bit as far as the books are concerned, but I'm glad to have you here. Before we jump into the actual questions of the interview, can you go ahead and just share a little bit about yourself? Anything you'd want the listeners to know about you?
Well, I was born out in California. It was an Army fort called Fort Ord. Doesn't exist anymore. So I guess my place of birth doesn't exist, whatever that does to you. Anyway,
That's kind of weird.
my dad fought in World War II, and in the Korean War, he was the guys that grab their gun and jump out of a plane,
Oh, okay.
hold on to their parachute and shoot the guys on the way down and hope they don't get shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they usually weren't dropped in nice little safe zones.
Right.
They're dropped over the enemy line.
Enemy lines, yeah.
So he was a G.I. Joe type of guy. He earned 3 Purple Hearts.
Wow.
He survived 21 years of the Army. And then when I was 9, he had his 3rd heart attack. They weren't doing bypasses back then.
Okay.
That's what he needed.
Yeah.
When I was 9. And that was tough on our whole family.
Yeah.
But I survived. My sister survived as well. We had just gotten saved in our little Baptist church there in San Diego just a few months before that. I met my wife in my 2nd year of college. That was also in California. And God blessed us with 3 boys, and we now have 3 grandchildren. So we'll call that a good match.
There you go.
Let's see. In college, I got a Bachelor of Arts in religion. It was not your typical Bible college.
Okay.
So it was in religion. It was California Baptist University, and then I got my Master of Arts. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's exactly what yours says. I got my Master of Arts in theological studies from Liberty University.
There you go.
So we could kind of hang ours side by side.
There you go.
I've been a senior pastor of 3 churches. All 3 of those were out in California, and an assistant or associate pastor in a number of others. I've served in churches as small as 60. That was a church plant, and they called me as their first pastor.
Okay.
And then I was on the staff of one with several thousand.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of different opportunities. I've had the privilege of establishing a Bible Institute. This was out in California. I was a teacher and director of the Institute for 2 years. And then later had a privilege of writing and teaching several college courses. They were on church work or church ministry, and enjoyed all that. And we're glad to be retired now and up in this area where Open Door is located.
Yeah, up in Central Alabama. You've done a lot.
Yeah.
You've done a lot through college and various pastoral ministries, church plant, and things of that nature. That's amazing. You were talking about starting a Bible Institute.
Yes,
Can you speak a little bit about that? What was that, and how did that work out?
It was called the California Baptist Bible Institute. It was established in Santa Maria, California, under Pastor John Stevens. He's in North Carolina now. And we offered 60 credits. You could cash them in over at Maranatha Baptist College for like one semester's worth.
Okay.
And it covered the gamut of the basic subjects that you would need for Bible college. It was all Bible classes.
Okay.
You know, so I taught an introduction to biblical language. I taught also like an introduction to like a Bible survey class on the Old Testament, New Testament as well.
Right.
And served as director. I think before I left, we graduated. No, it was. I graduated about 6 in the 2 years, so it takes a little while to finish all the classes, of course.
Okay. Right.
But I created the scope and sequence, the courses that they would take, and served as the first couple years of director there.
Wow, that sounds excellent. That sounds awesome. I did not know about that. That about you. Let's keep going on about things. Probably I don't know about you, and our listeners don't either. What are some things that make you unique that many people don't know? Well,
one thing we kind of discovered from Abeka Books. My wife has taught it many years. I also headed up a video school that used Abeka Book on video.
Oh, really?
And all the kids would sit with headphones like you and I are, watching the same video on the TV.
Okay, yeah.
And in going through Abeka Books, and all of our children studied Abeka Books. That was how they got their elementary education. No, elementary and high school for the older two.
Okay.
Anyway, no, for all three. Let me change that. In a course on history, U.S. history that they taught, stumbled on a guy that was infamous for what happened to him. He was the very first in America to be run over by an automobile.
Oh, okay.
Had his picture.
Yeah.
Had his name, and I looked at that last name. His last name was Bliss, and that's my grandma's maiden name.
Really? And
I thought, what? And I looked it up, and sure enough, we're related, and not only that, his name is Henry H. Bliss, and he's the first American to be run over by one of those old, great big wheels. You're sitting in the open.
Yeah.
It was that kind of automobile that ran him over, killed him. So I'll just call him a jaywalker or whatever it might have been back then. So that's kind of, nice to be famous for something. I don't know.
Did he survive or did that?
No, it killed him.
It killed him.
Yeah, that's how he made the history book.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a neat way to go. And I told that to my sons and the grandkids, and they said, well, don't tell everybody about that, Dad. I'd be embarrassed.
Too late. Man, that almost rivals my Uncle Ralph.
Uh-oh. What did Uncle Ralph do?
He was hanged in 1899. He murdered somebody because God told him to build like a 20-story building on mountains somewhere in Israel for the homeless people. He went loony, and he murdered somebody out in Lancaster area, Pennsylvania, and was hanged in 1899. He got a picture of him and everything. He created his own liniment oil too, medicine.
Huh. Well, the liniment oil is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and
wow.
Me and my daughter replicated the bottle, too, based off an image we have. But enough about crazy Uncle Ralph. And
Uncle Ralph,
about your...
well, I also started college as a music major at, it was called Lynchburg Baptist College. Now, what most people wouldn't know is that is Liberty University.
Okay.
This was the second year when it was started.
Oh, okay.
I was in it the second year.
I was going to say, you mentioned Lynchburg. I was asking where
Lynchburg
Liberty's at.
Baptist College. All the guys had to stay in the camps, cabins out on an island that the St. James River flows around on both sides.
Okay.
And they owned that campground because they didn't have dormitories yet.
Okay.
And made friends with several people in the music world who went on to become Southern gospel superstars.
Oh, really?
And we went to school together.
Yeah.
And that was just a lot of fun. I continued that major my second year, music, but then changed to a Bible major. They call it religion for my third and fourth years, and 4.5 actually, and then I finished with a minor in music instead.
So can you sing?
Yes.
Can you sing well?
I can sing okay. My son sings well. He got his master's in that.
Oh, really?
His undergrad was voice. His graduate was music education. But he sings extremely well.
Really?
Yeah, and I could say he got it all from me, but he didn't. My wife is a good alto. So.
Okay. Is that anything else that's unique about you, or?
I just got my DNA back.
Okay.
And it said I'm about 30% German.
Really? Okay.
So you and I have some stuff going.
There we go.
There
Yep.
you go.
Excellent. I remember looking up my ancestry, and back in 1768, one of my great ancestors, Johann Vierbach, he ended up coming over on a ship named Edinburgh over through Ellis Island under William Penn's land deal. So him and his family came over and paid off the debt back to William Penn, and then pretty much stayed, emigrated over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of Weyerachs over there. So, yep, good old German heritage here as well.
Very good.
So, okay, well, so you have Barefoot Bible Ministry, and that's mainly a YouTube, Rumble video. You have a Facebook page as well. Could you share a little bit about Barefoot Bible Ministry? How's that channel going? And you've been doing it for about 2 years now. What are some things you learned?
Well, first I would say I'm really grateful to you, Pastor Danny, for helping me to find a way to start a social media ministry. And because I came to you and suggested a cup of coffee, and could I talk to you about something, and that's what it was.
Remember that, yeah.
I had no concept. I had shut down my YouTube channel altogether, closed it out to nobody but immediate friends.
Yeah.
And one of the first things you said, well, tell me what your concept is. And I did, and you helped me kind of shape it a little bit to get something that you could make suggestions for, and then suggested very quickly, well, the way to promote your stuff is YouTube. So you're going to have to turn all that back on.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
And so I did right away, but I didn't know I needed a Barefoot Bible YouTube channel. Eventually, recently, I've moved over to that side, which doesn't have friends. It only has followers because it's a professional page.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife and I believe it's kind of doing what it should do, what our goal was.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of the needs of the followers are being met based on their responses.
Yeah.
And mostly positive feedback. Occasionally somebody's irritated that they got an ad for that. Well, oh, these Christians, sending us this junk, and that's okay. I don't offend them.
Yeah.
I don't even respond to that personally, but and we've recently expanded our social media presence. After my recent hospital bout, I got out and felt convicted to do more.
Okay.
And so Barefoot Bible's now also on Instagram and TikTok. So I added YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, all with Barefoot Bible under that name.
Yep.
And then Instagram and TikTok. And so they try to rebroadcast. I just have one vlog that I do, but there's a lot of variety of social media material on all of those stations. They're all called Barefoot Bible. And so I follow a lot of other people that are like on TikTok that are Christians and have really good TikTok channels.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Instagram. I got a big crowd of followers there because there's a lot of people I know.
Right.
And then those that have good Instagram pages, I follow them.
Yeah.
And people from outside of the country, if they do a good job and they're evangelizing or missionaries, and they don't happen to be from America, but they're doing just a great job reaching people,
Yeah.
I'll follow their pages as well. So you'll see missionary stuff, evangelist stuff, pastors of other ministries, a lot of Christian writers, authors, and in fact, primarily Christian channels on each of those sites, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Rumble.
Yeah.
They're all out there. All you have to do is search when you get into your page.
Right.
And all of those are free to join and have a page where you can follow people. So it's kind of in a sense, just a fabulous invention for a Christian ministry.
Definitely.
I recently took a course on digital marketing,
Okay. Yeah.
and the more I read about it, the more I thought, it's gotten through a lot of changes, but where we've arrived, even without spending piles of money, it's now become a wonderful avenue for the gospel, and particularly for encouraging the discouraged believer, getting God's word over into countries that have locked borders and prohibitions.
Yeah.
They can't even give me their name. They can't post anything. They just want to follow stuff that encourages them and get them through their day.
Right.
And I'm since we've made those changes and additions to our social media platforms, our viewers now are spreading quite a bit around the world.
That's awesome.
In many, many languages I don't begin to understand.
Yeah.
They'll send me notes, but I don't have anything what they're saying. But so God's been good in that. We've enjoyed that expansion. Wasn't what I ever planned.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, what made you come up with the title Barefoot Bible?
Well, you had challenged me to look for a title that kind of would be an umbrella for all the things that I want to put on my Barefoot Bible page.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know I had two books at that point, one on Revelation, one on Daniel. So I thought, well, it's got to cover that, and it's got to cover Bible interpretation. That stems from a concern that I had. I've been in a good number of churches, and they all are great at encouraging people to read their Bibles. Read your Bible in a year, and you earn a certificate. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think everybody needs to do it probably every year. And my wife and I now do that nightly. We take a little longer than a year, but we read through the Bible every night.
Yeah.
It takes us a couple years to get all the way through. And we're having a blast doing it. And every time another year goes by, we actually are both learning new things.
Yeah.
People need to realize that.
Definitely.
But you got to slow down.
Yeah.
If you read through just to check a box, you're not giving God a chance to show you stuff.
Yep.
And so my wife stops me. I'm the one that's reading.
Sounds
We're
about-
laying in bed, and she'll
sounds
stop me. Now, what does that mean? And I'll have to back up sometimes quite a bit to explain something.
Yeah.
But we have a great time doing that.
Excellent.
I have a blast.
Doing it together.
And so from that, in the churches, I'm seeing that people are good they're familiar with their Bibles. You ask them the books of the Bible, they can probably tell you. They got some verses memorized from VBS and
Right.
and Awanas. They do good on that.
Right.
But what we're not great at, we're always dependent on someone else to tell us how to interpret what we're reading.
Okay.
And that dependency concerns me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then we're borrowing it from someone else, and that someone else may not be right.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't mean to offend somebody, oh, you think you're right and no one else is right, except the guy whose last name is right.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's not me, sorry. And the voice is not mine either. But anyway, so my desire grew to where it's like, I've got to do something to help people understand how to interpret the Bible for themselves, how to get it right. How do you cut through, like with the book of Judges, 2,600 years into another country, and another language, another people, another culture.
Yeah.
That's not a real short list of things you need to learn about.
Right.
That's a log list. Mm-hmm. You need a lot of background before we can really say, well, here's what it means. I've got it. You can't just pop a verse out and say, I got it. This is for me right here.
Yeah.
It might be a nice application because you found a scriptural prop to put up under what you're doing.
Yeah, a proof text.
But it may not be right.
Yep.
So that's one thing that really inspired me to go with something about the Bible. That's what it needed to be, something about interpreting the Bible. Well, and then I started searching for popular names that a lot of people really like. And I couldn't find anything that really grabbed me. And then all of a sudden, here's this, I got down to the B's, because you can scan this list.
Okay.
Got down to the B's, and here's pretty early on, Barefoot Bible. I thought, ooh, I wrote that one down. I wrote down probably a dozen names.
Yeah.
I think I even ran them by you at one point.
Okay.
And
I remember that.
And I finally settled on that, and then you and I got together on designing some kind of a logo. It's been I modified it a couple times since then, but the first design came from you. It was great. Canva design. So that's really kind of where the name jumps out of is when Moses I caught the burning bush, and he said, I'm going to go over and see what that's about.
Yeah.
And he walked in whatever kind of sandals he was wearing back then and stopped and said, what is this? And God said, Moses, and told him to take his shoes off because he was standing on holy ground. I thought, oh, that's it. That's it. The Bible is the holy ground, but we don't treat it like a holy book anymore. I'm going to say anymore, because in the past we were better about treating the Bible as a holy book and how we handled it, how we interpreted it, what we said about it. And there's actually some non-Christian groups that are a bit better than we are about considering the Bible or their Bible a holy book. You better not touch it.
Yeah.
You better not misquote it. You better not cut anything out or dare translate it. They're better than we are at it.
Yeah. True.
And that really, if anyone ever wonders, but they've done a lot with our Bibles. There's all kinds of translations, and they don't agree with each other. Where in the world do you go to figure out which one's the right interpretation then for me? Well, that's a long answer to a short question.
Yeah.
And the further you dig, it gets complicated. Because we get into original languages and original manuscripts. And that's not a short topic. We could spend days on that. And your broadcast would die in the process because it's too technical. But anyway, so I wanted people, it's got to be simple. I have books on hermeneutics. How do you interpret the Bible?
Okay.
And hermeneutics, of course, applies to interpreting anything.
Okay.
But biblical hermeneutics. But they're the size of encyclopedias or great big seminary books. And you need a seminary education to read and understand what they're trying to tell you to do. They're not simplified and concise. So the first 12 videos I made on Barefoot Bible are all about how to interpret the Bible for yourself. And I use the Bible and Jesus as my primary examples for that information.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Barefoot Bible. Find it on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Instagram, TikTok.
Yes, sir.
I was never even on TikTok myself. So that's cool. Links are going to be in the descriptions of this episode. Go ahead, pause this, head over there, subscribe, follow, like, whatever the case is for those platforms. Now, we did mention that you're an author, so let's talk a little bit about the book. So how many books have you authored, and what led you to actually write those books?
My first book was, the name of it was The Revelation of Jesus. That's the first words of the book of Revelation. And, when COVID hit everybody, it was a worldwide attack. And now we've discovered it really was. I won't go there. Yeah. But anyway, and I had about 6 weeks off.
Okay.
Not very voluntarily, mind you.
Right.
it ended up paid eventually. But,
good.
That I'd finished my honeydews around the house.
Yeah,
and so I was starting to go back to Xbox games. And my wife came in and shook her head.
You said Xbox games.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you an age question?
Oh, the age question?
Yeah. How old are you, David?
Well, on October 9th, I'll be 71.
Look at that. 71.
And
Started YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, books, plays Xbox.
Yeah.
Age is not a factor.
Yeah.
It is
Assassin's
not a
Creed, boy, what an invention. My goodness. Great stuff.
That's so cool. But
Okay.
Go on.
And my wife doesn't approve. Anyway, she can't understand why anyone thinks anything of video games. It's just not her, doesn't fit a woman's mind. Now, I know women that love them, and I have great respect for those that are out there on the those instead of I like the solo game.
Yeah.
And
The multiplayer
my
game.
granddaughter doesn't. She wants to fight real people.
Okay.
Anyway, and my son does too. Oh, he plays baseball and football online against other people.
Yeah, I like playing soccer online
he's
against
really
people.
good.
It's funny. I could beat people online in soccer, but if I play the computer in soccer, I can't win.
Interesting.
I have no idea
It's
why.
the AIs.
It must be. Yeah.
I've read about one where this one soccer AI has a certain player from a certain country who is indefeatable,
Yeah.
and so you can't beat him. You can't beat him.
Yep.
I read about that.
I remember I don't know if the name Vinicius Jr. rings a bell to you.
Is that him?
Well, in FC 24-25,
Yeah.
if anybody is Real Madrid for Spain with Vinicius Jr., he's broken.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get the ball from him. He's
No.
always scoring.
That was the one I read about.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's wild. If I play Real, I just put the controller down and walk away.
Oh no!
But go ahead. So
Let him get the game over. You're going to lose.
Get it over. So
Oh,
COVID, playing
boy.
Xbox.
Yeah.
and
So
Revelation.
she says, well, you were talking about turning your Revelation Bible study.
Yeah.
And that had been 40 years of teaching that.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've already admitted my age, it doesn't hurt anything.
You're welcome.
She says, you talk about getting a book done so that all that that teaching doesn't just get lost. I used to say, one time I'm going to throw my laptop out the window, it's going to die, and it'll all be gone. Because electronics and I don't get along well.
But that's what you do now.
And that's all I do. Yeah, well, it must be the curse then, not a. But so that's how I got started. I finished it in 2021, so it's still during COVID, but I got it done.
Yeah.
And my second book came out when I was here. In fact, was I in your church when I released that? I think I might.
I think
have
you
been.
were. It was
Yeah.
shortly
Because I released it in
thereafter.
2023, so I think it was.
Yep.
And that's Daniel, the secrets revealed. And that's not a quote from Daniel, but it's based on something in chapter 2. And so that was after I retired. And then my newest book, this is 2025, so it's, I guess, every 2 years, what God's let me do. It is called Judges, the Ripple Effect of Sinful Choices. Coming out on the book of Judges. It's in the last stages of editing. I've seen 7 of the chapters, so not too much left to go. We'll see.
Okay.
And it should come out. I can't predict it. He hasn't given me a date yet for that. It's Kindle Direct Publishing, and I've got an editor I'm working with.
Okay.
And our motivation to do all this was really preserving and sharing the teaching of 4.5 decades of Christian ministry, what God showed me.
Yeah.
Some have been extremely well received. Revelation, for instance, everywhere that God's allowed me to teach it publicly. Others, I'm just getting started, with those opportunities. So see what God will do.
Excellent. So with your book on Daniel and Revelation and the upcoming Judges, so it seems like they're sort of like commentary based. They're verse by verse expositional books. What do you think sets those books apart from like the other books on Daniel? Because like on my shelf right now, I have about 3 different books of Daniel. Yeah. What do you think makes yours a little different or sets it apart?
Well, I think it begins with our goals, and
Okay.
I'm including my wife when I say our. Our goals are different than most authors. I'm not writing to generate sales. I don't mind sales, but that's
Right.
not my goal.
Right.
Get it out there? Yes, to anybody. I'd give it away.
Right.
But my goal is to explain God's Word in simple terms with an emphasis on how I got to that interpretation.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want them to see how I got there so they can recognize the steps themselves. So my books are written for current English-speaking readers. And as I write out, and I've done it multiple times now in many different settings, write out the interpretation of a book. For instance, like Daniel was written in the 6th century BC, so it's 2,600 years old. And look at a newspaper and think about a newspaper from 2,600 years ago, and you're getting close.
I was so hungry today. I went to the freezer and here at church, and I know that I left food up here for days that I get hungry, and I'm up here, and I looked at the bag of popcorn chicken. It was from 2023. So I can only imagine 2,600 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about 2 years ago. I ate them. No, I didn't eat them. I threw them
Okay,
away.
yeah, toxic chicken compared to old Bible books.
Yeah.
So anyway, I purposely show them how to build their own interpretive bridge back to that time, because that's what you need to do. You got to cross the bridge to Canaan. You want to get there right after Joshua's died and several hundred years before Saul's anointed as king. And now you're in the Judges time frame. And then focus on several things that you can bring back to what you're reading. Biblical, grammatical, historical context in which the text is appearing. Understanding Jewish manners and customs and culture. They do a lot of things we don't do.
Right.
And if you don't study about why they do it, you're just not going to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Why is Samson asking his parents to get that girl for his wife? It seems like demanding and curious. Yeah, okay, well, you got to get a hold of their culture. The events that took place in that time frame in Israel or in areas around them that would impact both the author and the readers. Understanding the people and places that are mentioned in the text. You'd be really surprised to find out how many people, names, how many places are mentioned in a small book like Judges. There's just dozens and dozens and dozens. Well, are there 0 lessons to learn from the 12 tribes, from the cities that they chose, et cetera? No, there are things to learn, not in every single word, but you need to look. And then also to gain insight from the perspective of the original writer, which is an issue we're not sure about with Judges, for instance. His background, his mindset, his relationship to his readers. Like with Daniel, that's pretty interesting. His background, he was a young royal being raised in Jerusalem. His mindset, well, he was a slave. And in my opinion, lost his ability to ever have children because the kind of slave he was.
Right.
His relationship to the readers, well, he was writing to an enslaved people who needed to know what was going on and why they were still in captivity some 70 years after they got there.
Yep.
And so we need that insight from the writer and the cultural and societal influences that might have shaped what he's recording. And the same thing about the likely audience. Well, who would have got this? Who would have read it? How would they interpret what Daniel, for instance, is recording? Surely they would have a point of view about what he's saying. Well, we need to get close to that, and of course we can't call him up. I say, hey, give me your perspective as the one who received this letter.
That would be nice.
And so we're just going to have to do our best to get back into their mindset. And because they're Jews and they're in the land of Canaan, they haven't been there very long, with the Philistines, in ongoing battles, slavery, spiritual battles with idolatry and seducing of the very enemies they were supposed to remove. There's just a lot going on. So we want to get into their life. And the people, the readers of that time, just had a mess on their hands.
Yep.
And they were partially at fault, maybe primarily. So with that background now, we can cross back over our bridge. We got the backpack on. And in each of my books, I want to take you there now to where here's my suggestion about how to interpret this. And along with that, here's how I apply it to me and how I suggest an application to you for 2025 or whatever year you're listening to the broadcast here. That kind of gives you a big picture of what's different about David Wright's commentaries. There you go.
No, that's good because dispensational hermeneutic, and literal, grammatical, historical, getting into the realm of the audience, the culture, the language, bringing it back, finding the principalized bridge and what are the similarities, what are the differences, applying the principle that's found. So, no, that's actually, a lot of times the books, they just say, this is what I believe it to be, and that's that. But if you're trying to, in your books, teach them how to actually hermeneutic, then that's awesome. And then from there, I think you have questions in the books, reflections, and things of that nature also. So with your upcoming book on Judges, I know that a lot of times people, when they're doing a study of the Bible, a book of the Bible, they come across like what they would consider a theme verse, a key verse, that really covers pretty much the whole entirety. Is there a theme verse within the book of Judges? If so, what do you think it would be and why?
Well, there is. I mean, the typical theme verse everyone gives for the book of Judges is the last verse of Judges that says, every man did that which is right in his own eyes, which is a good description of relativism from a humanistic perspective, man being his own judge and jury. Now, as I allowed my book to kind of shape itself as I was kind of working through one passage after another, I didn't decide in advance what the main focus would be. I was looking for it.
Okay, yeah.
And honestly, there's something that I had read about. It's often called the Judges cycle.
Yeah.
And you find a reference to it. Let me read that to you.
Yeah.
Judges 3 kind of records it. It's details of Israel's history after their leader, Joshua, died. So that's kind of the context. Right. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose, now focus on this because this is the context of the time, and there arose another generation after them which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. Verse 11, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Balaam. Doesn't sound very gradual. Sounds like they jumped right over. Verse 12, and they forsook the Lord God of their fathers. And that word Lord there is Yahweh or Jehovah. They forsook Jehovah, which brought them out of the land of Egypt and followed other small g gods of the gods of the people that were round about them. That means the Canaanite gods. So you need to learn about them. And bowed themselves unto them and provoked Yahweh to anger. Verse 13. And they forsook Jehovah and served Baal, we call him, and Ashtaroth. It's kind of a king and queen of the gods back in that day. Verse 14. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. Now that's God's chosen people. And he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them. They were sold into slavery. He sold them into the hands of their enemies round about. Now they were supposed to defeat those enemies so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. There's guaranteed defeat right there. Verse 15, whithersoever they went out, the hand of the Jehovah was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Lord had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed, unquote. Now, that's kind of a digest of what we would call the Judges cycle. Now, I see one additional pattern that you need to attach to that in Judges. You read about it once in Judges chapter 3. We just read it. But you're going to read about it another half dozen times. Mm-hmm. And each time it says it got worse. Mm. So really this was something I stumbled on with your help back in the day. because you suggested for a possible title. Mm-hmm. One of them was The Ripple Effect. Mm. And you said maybe of, sinful choices or something like that, because you were quite familiar with Judges as well. And the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. And I thought, that kind of fits that Judges cycle thing. Yeah. And in fact, it explains, the rock in the pond, where you drop maybe you skip a rock or throw a rock and it drops in the center of some pond, preferably not an Alabama pond. They're all mud. But anyway, you drop a rock in a pond and you begin seeing the ripples go out. And the first ripple is tiny. Let half a dozen ripples go out. The first ripple's tiny. The second ripple is larger. The third, fourth, fifth. The sixth one is the biggest of all. It's almost to the edge of the pond. Yeah, right. You see them all. Yeah. Well, by the time you're done with Judges, it's that picture right there. It's a pattern that I call the ripple effect. Yeah. It repeats and it expands as you go through the text. Mm-hmm. It has about 5 phases that expand. Mm-hmm. Disobedience, a pattern of sin and their idolatry of the local people. Yeah. Discipline, where God chastens them, punishes them. Mm-hmm. Distress, because the punishment's pretty tough. Right. Yeah, they don't like this. There was times where they were thrown into famine by their enemies. Right. They had enemies that moved into their entire cropland and consumed it and then left again. Yep. Can you imagine that in America? Nope. So distress. And then they finally, it humbles them. They get on their knees. They begin begging God for deliverance. And that's the next phase. And God, who really doesn't owe them anything, they broke his law, but he says, okay, I'm going to restore you, and I'm going to send you a judge who'll help get rid of these people, give you your liberty back again. But with a ripple effect, the final phase, which I call, which would be deliverance, and then the decline. The decline means you're sliding down into the beginning of a same pattern. Again, disobedience, discipline, distress, deliverance, and we learned our lesson. We're not going back. No, decline. Yeah. And you continue through that pattern. So it's not a verse for my book anyway. It's more of a passage, but it's a passage repeated about 7 times. And after all, that's the perfect number, isn't it? In the book.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that makes sense, instead of trying to force a theme verse, that you actually find a pattern and you have more of a theme from there. And like you said in the beginning of that part, that, a lot of people put like a theme of Judges, the fact that everybody did that which was right in their own eyes, which makes me want to ask you a question. When we look at Western culture today, do you believe that we're living in similar days as they were in Judges? Now, I understand we're not under the Mosaic covenant, and we're not God's chosen people and chosen nation and these and that. But when we look at what they're doing and we look at the ramifications of their choices, do you think that we're living in similar days with our humanistic, secular culture today?
Well, it's not identical. However, that ripple effect can be easily marked in many countries, not just America. We think we're the only country founded on good Bible principles. No. Right. I think we had a leg up a little bit because of some certain things that were done. But nonetheless, there's many countries with a good beginning and now find themselves struggling against destructive forces. And if you want to scratch your head and think, well, it's these bad leaders. Yeah, but it's more than that. Yeah. So, I think that ripple effect is visible in America. It's in several other countries. And like you said, we're not chosen by God as his holy nation, so we're not peculiar, nor have we made any covenantal agreements with God to obey his laws. Right. He made that specific for the Jewish nation only. However, those patterns can be seen in the histories of nations, disobeying God and his principles at least, leading to some kind of discipline and correction, trouble, followed by, people finally saying, well, our country's not headed the right direction, and they turn back to God. I saw that as recent as, I thought I was seeing it as recent as the outbreak.
COVID?
COVID.
Yeah.
Because there was a kind of a turn to, it seemed like, to embracing God as a nation again. Right. Because everybody was dying. And I think they got scared. And we need to reopen the churches and get back in church. Okay. So that a cry from the people asking God to deliver them, and perhaps some kind of national revival. It's happened before in America. It's happened in many countries around the world. We don't have an exclusive grasp on a revival.
Right.
But instead of that, meaning we're getting all the way back to our beginnings and we're going to be better again, it's followed by a spiritual decline. In fact, where evil comes back even worse than before. Yeah. And that's the ripple effect. There's an expansion of that which is destructive. It's like digging one of those holes in the earth where they're trying to mine an ore that's all there on the surface. Okay. And they drive their trucks in great big circles all the way down as far as they can. Huh. Yeah. And that kind of a hole is what I perceive in my mind as the kind of hole the countries, nations, dig for themselves. And then when they get way down at that bottom, they can't figure out how to get back. It's not just one little lane up to the top again. That doesn't exist. So today, I honestly don't think any of us are much different than the people and the places that we read about in Judges. You can point a finger at them. Oh, shame on them. But there's at least three fingers pointed back at yourself when you point at somebody. You know that, right? Yeah. So, I think there's similarities. It's not identical. No. But because there's similarities, we should look for the practical applications from those same people and drag them over to our situation that does line up today.
And with that, because we look at in the period of Judges how people were doing what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, regardless of what they thought God had felt about it. And we see things like this, especially within the church, with woke ideology, progressive liberalism, and then just all the nonsense going on outside of the church with just relativistic culture that doesn't have any grounds or basis for a moral framework. And so, we can look at the principles within the book of Judges, because very similar with that. How do you think the Christians should live in light of these days based on what they're seeing and reading in the book of Judges?
That's a great follow-up question there. And let me share a little personal background. I spent a lot of years in Christian ministry in the San Francisco Bay Area, both sides of the Bay. It's a tough area to be a Christian.
Let me ask you this real quick. I'm sorry. You mentioned San Francisco Bay.
Yeah.
Did they escape Alcatraz? The two that supposedly escaped Alcatraz and swam across the bay, do you think they survived?
Everyone leaves that as just a possibility. They just don't know of anyone who's really done it. So and they have interviewed some that claim to be one of the ones, but then when you dig into the history, it doesn't match.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
I've been had the tours through Alcatraz. It's quite interesting. They actually close you in one of the cells.
Oh no!
During the tour. It's great, just to get a little freaked out. But
Yeah.
but
You
know,
mentioned San
great.
Francisco Bay. I just had to
Yeah.
ask that question. I know we have our alligator Alcatraz just down south of us. So,
Yeah, we do.
but
Yeah, it's great stuff. But that's just a tough area. The church that I was associate pastor of in San Francisco is quite different than Open Door here in central Alabama. Very different, as you would expect. Some, it's very different. Why? Well, the pastor there now he's a pastor emeritus now, but I remember he said, most churches are at least spiritual hospitals.
okay.
He said, our church here in San Francisco is more like a spiritual emergency.
Oh,
The people that come here often have nearly destroyed their lives. And so it made for a challenging ministry. I felt more like a missionary,
yeah.
than a local pastor.
Right.
But God opened a lot of strange doors there, and he has his purpose for that church, and we need to pray for the Christians in that area. Definitely are in their own Canaan land, not the promised land,
yeah.
but it's a place full of pagans.
Mm-hmm.
And so they need a prayer because they're in a mission field that's
Definitely.
tough. 28 years ago, we moved our family about 3 hours from central Alabama, which is in northwest Florida. And you know what? We were in a fairly, it was a fairly large church, and with a lot of solid people. But we encountered the same struggle right here in the Bible Belt in the South. People don't know their Bible. People don't like the Bible. People who hate Christians. Well, I ran into this, not the same degree, but the same stuff was out here.
That's true.
Wasn't surprised, but I was surprised by the Southern hospitality, because people had actually let me pull my car onto the main road.
Oh, yeah.
That was unheard of in San Francisco. Nobody let you on ever. So anyway, here in the Bible Belt, you're asking about how do we live this stuff out in that kind of a culture. When our beliefs and behaviors disagree with God's word, we got to be committed. I'm not going to change what the Bible says. I don't have the right. It's a holy book. I'm going to always change my belief or behavior to line up with God's word. So I think we need to embrace that sort of commitment. And then to create change, it's not a one-man show. None of us are lone rangers, if anybody remembers him. Or Superman. He's another loner. Okay. We got to serve Jesus. To be effective, we got to serve together with others. It's a team effort, not a lone effort.
Right.
Jesus, look what he did. He had a group of 12 that was his training group, his disciples.
Right.
And they had to be united. They couldn't be isolated or overly independent or self-reliant. Jesus just needed people who weren't experts, who never made mistakes. He chose regular, hardworking people like you got to love Peter, who kind of just says it the way it is,
Foot in his mouth guy.
Yeah. We need Jesus' help, too, when it comes to talking about how do I live this life in the middle of a culture that's just become anti-Christian.
Yeah.
So we need Jesus' help to see things from his perspective, because it's confusing. We feel threatened by the unsaved people that are running the show, the people around us, people we work with, people sometimes even our family. We're so intimidated by all that. And yet, what did Jesus do? Jesus said, I came to seek and to save that. I came to seek and save that which is lost. Those who are responsible for all that stuff that frighten us.
Right.
Should we be any different? I ask myself. And I have to admit, I'm not the world's best, gospel presentator.
Yeah.
I'm not Mr. Evangelist.
Right.
I found other ways to do it that are a blast. and our church just had a theme this summer that fits right in that very thinking.
Yes,
but everyone needs to use the Holy Spirit and the gift that he gave you. And it may be more than one gift. I don't know. I'm not clear about that in the teaching on the gifts. But let's say the gift, at least one. And we need to live it out loud.
Yeah.
We need to let your light shine before men. They can see your good works and glorify God. We need to seek opportunities, but let God guide your steps to the right person and the right time. All of those are key. There's no question people need the Lord. But many, I think, need help discovering how to find him.
Yeah. No, I like that. So it's a matter of being sure that we don't shut ourselves up and that we actually engage in love and truth.
Isolationism, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate that for sure. One of the major topic of discussions when you get into the book of Judges is, okay, you have these judges, these deliverers that God raises up to go ahead and free Israel from the bondage that Israel brought herself into, or the different areas of Israel, if you will. I know for me, one of the judges I like the most is Ehud.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the silent left-handed assassin and goes in with King Eglon and says, I have a message. And then goes in there privately with him and then escapes out after, assassinating the king.
Yeah, that'd be rated R, what he did right there.
That would be, yep. And then the dirt came out.
Yeah.
But I've asked Pastor Ken to preach a message on that with that title, When the Dirt Came Out.
Okay.
But one of the judges that gets a lot of discussion, and I'm probably going to butcher his name, is Jephthah. Yeah. And so Jephthah makes what many call a foolish vow to God, that the next thing that comes out of my house I will sacrifice.
Exactly.
And then it's his daughter that comes out.
Right.
So there's quite a bit of debate as far as what do you think happened with the daughter of Jephthah?
Yes.
Some people believe that she was sacrificed, literally. Some people think that she was given over to the temple as a virgin chaste for life. Some other options. What are your thoughts with Jephthah and his foolish vow with his daughter?
Yeah, I really searched through Jewish background on that to just kind of look for opinions from rabbis and others and see what they thought. Yeah. I mean, even if they're not Christians, they could provide some real Jewish insight into this guy. And what did he just do here?
Yeah, what did the rabbis think?
And the general consensus from them was, he shouldn't have done it, but he offered her as a burnt offering, because he felt like he owed God to keep that vow. So I'll share that up front, and I'm not out to offend anybody, but by saying, that's not my view or whatever, but I would say there's good people on the several different views of what happened. There's good people behind each view. Right. So let me say that up front.
Yeah.
Good, highly respected guys that I buy their books, but I may not always agree. That's fine.
Right.
So I'm just sharing my opinion, actually.
Yeah.
What's interesting here is you need to take a harder look at the text itself and notice just a couple things. The verse you just quoted, that's from Judges 11, and it says, "It shall be that whosoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me," now it said whosoever, that's interesting, "when I return in peace from the children of Ammon," that means he's victorious in battle, "shall surely be Jehovah's." And then there's a comma, "and I will offer it up for a burnt offering." Judges 11:31. Now, so it's interesting that there's two statements in his vow. One says it'll surely be the Lord's. The other, the word "and" is sometimes translated "or."
Okay.
The same original Hebrew word. So it could be an "or," I will offer it up for burnt offering. So there's just one grammatical detail there.
Yeah.
The second one is another grammatical detail. When you get to the fulfillment, drop down to verse 39, and it says, "And it came to pass at the end of 2 months." So his daughter knew what's about to happen to her. She asked for permission to disappear for a couple months. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months, she returned unto her father. Mm-hmm. Now, if he's about to kill her, she's coming back to for dad to knock her off.
Yeah.
Who did with her according to his vow which he'd vowed. Now, if you take that sentence, the period's not there.
Okay.
That ends at a colon.
Okay.
Let me read it again. Who did with her, this is Daddy, according to his vow which he had vowed, colon. Now, you got to think grammatically. What comes after the colon? Well, this writer who stopped at that colon, this writer is leading up to how he fulfilled the vow.
Right.
We ignore the colon and put our assumption in there.
Right. Okay.
So let's finish it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Okay? What we think. Who did with her according to the vow which she had vowed, and she died.
Okay.
Now that kind of makes sense, if that's what you think.
Right.
But what does it literally say? It says he did with her according to his vow which he'd vowed, colon, and she knew no man. She remained a virgin.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel, the virgins, went yearly to lament. Now the word lament has a second meaning. Lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, 4 days a year. So they have a 4-day festival. They still do. And so the writer's explanatory statement follows that colon, and it says she knew no man. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say she died. If she was about to become a burnt offering, the phrase she knew no man really makes no sense. Yeah. Doesn't fit any context.
There's no purpose for it. Right.
It doesn't clarify the purpose that he's stating. It doesn't fit the grammar. If she was a burnt offering, then their focus should be on sacrificing her life, not preserving her virginity.
Right.
So by concluding that, we're kind of rubbing up against the grammar of the text. And then, secondly, I would challenge you to look harder at one thing that's repeated throughout this account. In verse 37, it says, and bewail my virginity. Mm-hmm. She doesn't bewail her death. Verse 38 reports, and bewailed her virginity. Mm-hmm. Again, the reporter doesn't say that she bewailed her death. Mm-hmm. And Judges 11:39, and she knew not a man. It doesn't say, and she became a burnt offering. Wow. So, and then let's look at the consequences. After this happened, how did the Jews respond? Now, at the end of the book of Judges, there's an account of a Levite who slashes his wife into 12 pieces and mails them out to the 12 tribes. Mm-hmm. What was his purpose? Well, he was out to get some judgment poured on an entire town. Right? He expected a response.
Okay.
What was the response to Jephthah carrying out his vow on his daughter? There's a 4-day annual memorial. Mm-hmm. It honors the sacrifice made by the daughter of Jephthah, a virgin of Israel. And the same word translated lament, it's the word tanah in Hebrew, is translated rehearse. You'll find it in the book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 11. It's translated rehearse, same word. Yeah. So it could be that she rehearsed what God has done. Her story is recounted each year. It's an annual holiday. It aims to pay tribute to that girl. We only know her as the daughter of Jephthah, by the way. If she became the burnt sacrifice, tell me, would celebrating a human sacrifice by a Jew kind of violate the laws of the Torah, violate the purpose, one of the things they were to never do in the Promised Land? Yep. It would make it inappropriate for any of the Jews to ever honor such an act. Right. And now in my book, in the back, there are several appendices, and one of them is entitled Understanding Jephthah's Vow. It's much more detailed with a lot of other points. I think it makes a hands-down case almost irrefutable. I'd almost go that far for her becoming committed to temple service as a virgin of Israel for her entire life.
Yep. Excellent.
And she probably got out to attend the annual remembrance and joined them in that remembrance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. No, that's an excellent, concise breakdown, and I encourage anybody listening to go ahead and get the book, and because not only the vow with Jephthah, but even, like you said, the Levite that cut up the concubine and sends her body parts, if you will, to different tribes, very much discussed in the book as well, and reasonable and biblical and just great insights.
Well, thank you.
So one other question I want to ask you regarding the book of Judges is, and I know if I remember correctly, you're big into archaeology. You love history and archaeology and excavations and how they corroborate Scripture.
Right.
Is there any archaeological evidence that sort of corroborate periods as far as the book of Judges? Like you said, there's a lot of names and locations or historical markers found within. So in your studies, have you come across archaeological evidence to support Judges' timeline?
Yeah, there's about a dozen. I chose a couple that I think are more remarkable. Judges chapter 4, verse 2 introduces a captain named Sisera. He served a king named Jabin. Sisera led the army. And he had his base at a town named Harosheth, which is located near Mount Carmel, or Carmel, however you say that. I'll let you choose. Archaeologists, that's quoted in the Jewish Bible Quarterly, stated, quote, in 1997, a 1,300-year-old round bronze tablet featuring the carved face of a woman was discovered at the excavation site of El Ahwat. Now that's where Harosheth used to be. Orrin Cohen identified this artifact as part of a linchpin. On our cars, we call it a hubcap.
Oh, okay.
Linchpin that secured the wheel of an Egyptian or Canaanite battle chariot. And it actually then, this discovery supports the idea that Harosheth served as Captain Sisera's headquarters, where those 900 iron chariots were stored and maintained.
Huh. Cool.
So that was a great discovery. A second one is in Judges 3. It mentions the 5 lords of the Philistine, and the word lord actually refers to kings. Archaeological excavations in 5 Canaanite cities where these Philistine kings actually ruled, history backs it up, have yielded a lot of good Philistine artifacts and evidence of early iron manufacturing. Now you got to realize that what they found dates all the way back to the beginning of the iron remnants, archaeological period, time period. They call it the Iron Period. And so that supports that in the book of Judges. It supports the Philistine cities. It supports the kings. And like I said, specifically the iron chariots that are mentioned in Judges chapter 4. Both the manufacturing of the iron, the location where they were held, and a hubcap, so to speak, off a chariot.
That's pretty neat. As one that's still, I've done a lot of study in Mormonism. I'm still going through Mormonism right now, and the fact that you can't find archaeological evidence for Mormonism and the claims that there are that are in the Book of Mormon and Pearl Great Christ.
Where did the Indians go?
Yep, that, and they have like metals being invented or used before their time, animals in areas that were never documented to be there. Yeah. But yet time and time again, archaeology consistently corroborates Scripture. And so I love the fact there's so many historical markers in all these books of the Bible. And so it's just amazing. So
it's not a fiction.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And the fact that there's so many historical markers allows the person, the skeptic, to investigate. Yeah. Just look into it.
And there's archaeologists who've gotten saved who were never Christians before.
Yep, exactly. I know one archaeologist that I would recommend is Titus Kennedy.
Yes.
So he's a Free Grace guy from what I understand, and he's a great archaeologist as well. There's a YouTube channel called Bible Expedition.
Yes.
It's another guy. He's great. He's got a book out there that we have. It's called, I think it's called When God Came Down or something like that. A lot of different archaeological evidences. So we talked a lot about books, talked a lot about writing books, things of that nature. As we sort of close up this interview, what kind of advice would you give anybody that maybe consider putting their thoughts into paper and writing a book and publishing a book? What advice would you give to somebody?
Based on books I've read, I would say some people shouldn't write.
Should not write?
There's a straight up.
Why would you say that?
Well, just you read the book and it's so disappointing. It's like, find another career. But in general perspectives, I would say, and I've only written 4 books. I have one other one that I have the copyright for. If it's not a subject that you personally are passionate about, I would say don't write about it.
Okay.
Don't write about it.
Yeah, that's good.
The person that's going to buy your book needs to at least know you passionate about your subject.
Yeah.
And if you're not an authority on it, I would work toward becoming that before you pick up the pen.
Okay.
And then, so now I'm talking about nonfiction, of course, obviously. If you're only trying to make money, I wouldn't write nonfiction. I would say write fiction books. Make sure they're incredibly impossible stories that can be downloaded or printed on demand. The market's changed. Yeah. The cost for printing materials with paper products and stuff has just skyrocketed. It's gotten ridiculous. The demand for everything online has increased exponentially. They say that's the future.
Yeah.
So I would say if that's what you're after, you make money. Money's out there. People are making money through social media, hand over fist. It can be done with not that much effort.
Yep.
And then third, I would say write from your heart. Write as if you're writing to the people you care about most in this world. It needs to be that kind of message. Yeah. No baloney, nothing surface or trivial or just goofball. It needs to be a meaningful message that you would share with your best and closest friends. And then this is probably my biggest point on this would be, don't start a writing project until you've asked God for his guidance at every step. And then I'm not being spiritual. I have a very practical reason for that.
Okay.
God is the ultimate expert on writing books. Consider. He authored 60 books. He used 40 different authors to write them, writers. He wrote it in 3 languages. This creation of a 60-book volume, he spent 2,500 years creating it. You and I know we're out of our league already. We couldn't pull that off. You just don't need to look any further for expert advice on writing a book. As a Christian, mind you, then the Holy Spirit, he understands that whole process the right way. And then on the flip side, the training in creative writing is very helpful. Attending online writers' conferences will really help you. And the Christian ones will inspire you. So that would be how I would go there. I'm no expert on it. I'm still finding my way.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. I appreciate that. So, C. David Wright, I appreciate you on here today and talking all things books of the Bible, writing books, your upcoming book on Judges, all the insight you have for it. Be sure, if you're listening, to go ahead and get that book. I don't know, is pre-order available or not yet?
Yeah, I had initially released just the e-version, but then found out it had a bunch of it was computer glitches in it. I didn't do it, but it's a conversion process.
Right.
And they said, it needs to be edited and fixed. We can get rid of all that. Yeah. So it's overstood with the editor.
Okay.
And by the way, right now as we speak, Pastor Danny, I'm working on a revision to my book on Daniel. Daniel, The Secrets Revealed.
Right.
It's going into edition 2, second edition. Okay. I'm going to be adding Jewish perspective to the entire book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
More archaeological discoveries and a lot more as far as original grammar and perspectives on the dialogues, the writings, and so forth. So I'm in that process, and following that, I'm pretty far along in that, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Will be a second edition of Revelation. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
To add the same thing. There's good Messianic Jews who've written on Revelation. I want their perspective on what is John talking about, because there's some hints there that are very important.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I am backing up instead of moving forward to another new Bible book.
Right.
I do have plans for that if the Lord wants me to do it. I'm looking at Ruth and Esther.
Okay.
I've taught through them several times. I love both books. They're the only ones written about women in the Bible. And one was a Moabite.
Yep.
So that's just amazing. Anyway, and the other one was a Persian queen. Go figure.
Yep.
So they're the only two in the Bible, and look how unique they are.
Yep.
And their stories are inspiring.
Definitely.
By far.
Definitely.
So if the Lord will allow me, that's what's going to follow Judges.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, unbeknownst to you,
Yeah.
I have one final question.
Okay, fire.
I always end the interview on a oddball question. Something that
An if-then kind of thing.
something.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people that are part of this church are very curious to hear the answer to this. And since this interview has been all book themed, I want this last question about you to be very book themed. All right.
Book theme.
So the question is, if your life was a book genre, what genre would your life be and why?
It wouldn't be poetry then.
Would it be poetry?
No. Well, he does have some pretty sad stories wrapped up in there. It could be. Genre? My son says my voice is a lyrical style vocalist.
Okay.
Lyrical style voices tell stories. So I'm thinking it would be a storyteller. And a lot of our books in the Bible are in that venue. Even the four Gospels are essentially lyrical stories inspired, but they're told from a point of view of the writer. And so something along that line, obviously not a gospel.
Right.
I don't have good news unless there's a happy ending to this thing. I can leave my wife some inheritance money if I die before it expires. But,
There you go.
yeah, but so probably some kind of a storytelling, or would fit me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prophecy? No, I'm no forth teller. I can't plan tomorrow.
Yeah, neither can I, and I can't remember yesterday.
Right,
I'm
exactly.
stuck in the present. Well, I want to thank you for being part of Odd Talk today, and I'm sure we're going to have you on later in the season as well and get you to talk about more stuff. I appreciate your ministry to the church, ministry to the Lord, and just how you're contributing to help encourage people through Barefoot Bible Ministry on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, TikTok, all your books, Daniel's Secrets Revealed, The Revelation of Jesus Christ, Judges, The Ripple Effect, working on editions, and then maybe Esther and Ruth coming up. So I appreciate all the work you're doing for the kingdom.
Amen. I retired, and now I'm working more than I ever worked.
I hear that's how it goes.
Oh, okay.
So for everybody else listening, I just appreciate you for being here. And then until next time, God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Odd Talk. If you're looking for a friendly, loving, Bible-believing, dispensational, grace-oriented church that hasn't succumbed to the woke ideology of our day, be sure to visit Open Door Baptist Church either in person or online. Their address and social media links are listed in the description of the episode. See you on the next episode.